Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the Champions League final. Real Madrid running away big winners over Dortmund. And here to review this match, we have returned into the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph, you predicted this one spot on. Real Madrid lifting their 15th title. I was hoping for an upset from Dortmund, but it was not to be. Real Madrid running away 2-0 winners eventually. But for me, Christoph, it was Dortmund who got the better of the first half opportunities. But as we all know, you fail to take your chances when you're on top. Then chances are with a superior team, a superior opponent, you're going to come out as the losers. And so said, so done. But Christoph, what was your take on this big Champions League final?
I mean, I agree with you. I think Dortmund were the better team, not only in the first half, but for the majority of the game until Real Madrid got that first goal through Carvajal, I believe. Right? And they had been pushing, they were lurking, I think, it was obvious there was potentially a goal coming, specifically from Carvajal, who played, I would say, superbly and was the standout performer for me for Real Madrid. But before that goal went in, I thought Dortmund were the better team throughout. I thought they had better chances. And had they possibly scored maybe one of those three, guilty chances in the first half, it might have been a much different outcome at the final whistle. I think it would have been a case where Madrid would have been chasing, and then Dortmund could have used that opportunity to continue to counter attack and then go for the win. But I think it's a good victory for Real Madrid. Brilliant from Carlo Ancelotti, showing why he is definitely one of the greatest managers of all time.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, with so many Champions League under his belt, this one is his fifth Champions League and three in Real Madrid colors, two for AC Milan. But definitely, Dortmund played well. As you mentioned, I thought they had an exceptional first half. However, that it was that elusive goal. And once Real Madrid hung in there, in fact, going into the half at 0-0, that was some sort of psychological victory, in my opinion, for Real Madrid, just based on how the game unfolded. Adeyemi got through one goal a couple of times. Definitely should have taken one of those chances. And of course, Fulkerg was a handful for the defenders all game, definitely occupying Nacho and Rudiger throughout. And the elusive goal, that is what was missing from this Dortmund performance. And as you mentioned, once Real Madrid hung in there, half time, it was a game of two halves, in all honesty. Once they came out second half, they showed more progress, they showed more ambition, and eventually they got that opening goal. And the first goal in any final is always crucial. It's that first goal which is going to change the dynamics of the game. It's going to tell you whether you need to chase the game or you just need to hang in there and defend it. And Real Madrid got that first goal, and from there, Dortmund made some attacking changes and were chasing the game. And that second goal, Christoph, that was the killer. An unforced error, a loose pass in the back line, picked off by Jude Bellingham, and then he played through Vinicius, which finished. And that was the missing element in that Dortmund performance, the lack of finishing. Real Madrid got their two chances and they were spot on with their finish. Dortmund got several, but still could not beat Courtois. But it is what it is. Definitely, congratulations to Real Madrid. That's now 6 titles, Christoph, in what, 11 years?
Indeed,
Unprecedented,
it's about
unprecedented stuff.
right, Real. I mean, Real Madrid have not lost any Champions League final in the last 20 years, so
Mm.
I don't know,
Oh, and they haven't lost
they have not
any
lost a
final
champ.
in the last 10.
They have not
They've been
lost
to 6
any.
finals
They
and
have
have
not
won all
lost.
6.
They have not lost any Champions League final that they've been to in the last 20 years.
Mm.
I,
Quite an
I believe
impressive
the
run.
last.
I was banking on that in terms of the law of averages, but it was not to be, viewers and subscribers. They continue to defy all the odds.
Like I said, if Real Madrid had to beg, borrow, steal, pay off a referee, they would win. Not that I'm saying any of that happened. It was, I think, Dortmund have nobody to blame for that loss but themselves. They had ample opportunity in the first half. They should have buried at least one of those three guilty chances they got in that first half. And I very much believe the outcome of the game would have been different at full time.
Definitely. I mean, as they say, goal win matches, and it was Real Madrid that got the goal. Carvajal from a set piece at that, near post set piece. But in terms of the Real Madrid set pieces all game, they have been dangerous from set piece. Cruz have been swinging in some wicked corners, free kicks, and Real Madrid did look very dangerous. And it was one of those chances which was buried by the shortest player on the field, so it's just the luck of the draw indeed. But as you said, Dartman have no one to blame. They gave a good account of themselves, but it was just not their night. They will and come again next season, hopefully. And Real Madrid continue with their victory lap, another trophy in that trophy cabinet. But Christoph, at this point in time, I mean, Jude Bellingham must be in with a big shout for the Ballon d'Or. It's something we've spoken about in recent time, and up there with him should be his Real Madrid teammate, Vinicius as well.
Definitely it will. They will definitely be up there for that award. Potentially in that top three shortlist. Um, but also I believe that the Euros could potentially play a big role. In deciding the Ballon d'Or as well. If we see maybe Jude Bellingham having a stellar Euros and potentially England winning the Euro 2020 four, we could say that Jude Bellingham would definitely be winning that Ballon d'Or. But I mean, you also have to remember the Ballon d'Or is a popularity contest, so it's whoever the media and the captains like the most at the moment.
Well, I mean, Vinicius as well is also involved in the Copa America as well, Christoph. So
Yeah, but I don't
that
feel
too could play a role also.
The Copa does not carry as much weight as the Euros.
That's a possibility. The media coverage seem to be with the European game and the European teams in that breath. I believe the Euros might be a bigger competition globally when compared to the Copa America. But Copa America is still a big tournament, Christoph. You can't belittle the quality of the Copa
Oh
America
no,
with the.
I'm not belittling the quality. The Copa America has excellent quality.
Mm.
It's a very good competition to watch because we'll be seeing Brazil, we'll be seeing Argentina, you'll be seeing Lionel Messi, um, Vinicius Jr. You used to see players the likes of Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos. So the Copa America has had some of the world's best players competing in it. But because of the coverage that the Euros will receive, I don't think the Copa America will have as big a weighting as the
Well,
as
yeah,
somebody having an excellent Euros.
I think the global appeal should increase. However, though, Christopher, this one taking place in the USA, and to me, that is part of the reason they moved it from South America to the US to possibly attract a wider international audience. So it should have a bit more weighting when compared to previous years, but I must agree with you. I think in terms of the media coverage and hype, the Euros should still get that bit more respectability from the bigger media houses, so to speak. And also, when you look at the FIFA rankings as well, I would say you have higher ranked teams participating in the Euros when compared to the Copa America as well. So I would somewhat lean towards the Euros in terms of a bigger market in terms of world football. But I must say the Copa America is not far behind, and those are the two big tournaments coming up this summer. Both tournaments kicking off at different times, but it's definitely football this summer. It's there for us to watch. In addition to that, we also have the Olympics coming up in August, and with that as well, we have Olympic football also. So that is another spectacle that should draw some additional attention. But I must say, those two Real Madrid teammates, Christoph, should be two of the front runners in terms of vying for the Ballon d'Or, picking up the league title, picking up the Champions League. And as you say, if either player with their team should progress deep into those competitions, then the writing should be on the wall. The winner should come from one of those Real Madrid players. I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head that could potentially rival them in terms of making a push for the Ballon d'Or. Does anyone come to mind for you outside of Jude and Vinicius?
Maybe Erling Haaland. Norway is not in the Euros, but we have the start of the season coming up as well. Having a scintillating first half of the season could potentially.
Ah, no, no. I would make an argument for him if he had won the double, the domestic double, which would have been the league and the FA Cup. But having now failed to win the FA Cup and only taking home the league title, I can't really make an argument for Haaland in all honesty, to be honest. So it is
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
kind
rough.
of
If a
agreed.
potential player such as maybe a Kane could lead
No,
England to the Euros, then I could
no,
see an argument there.
no.
But
Bayern Munich won nothing.
as I said, an argument. I'm not saying he would have won, but at least maybe his name is up there in terms of maybe a top three prospect. But for me, though, Christoph, I definitely think it's gonna come from one of those two players. And as you
Um,
say, it all depends on how deep either team goes in their respective regional competition. If Vinicius Brazil was to lift the Copa America, then there's no argument. And same can be said if England was to lift their first Euros, then there would be no argument for Jude not to get that
I mean,
title. But I can't really see England lifting the Euros though.
it's
So
not just
at
it's
this
not
point, I'm
just
more
lift
leaning towards Vinicius.
it's not just lifting the Euros or lifting the Copa. These players also need to be, impactful in their
Well,
role because
definitely. I mean, if either
potentially,
country is gonna lift the title, those players will be impactful.
I mean,
It's almost guaranteed.
I
If
mean, I
these
mean, we
teams are gonna go so deep into the competition, you would
we could
expect
see the
these
very
players
first
to
game
lead
of
them.
the we could see the very first game of the Copa, and then Vinicius Junior is injured for the remainder of the tournament. So,
You do raise a good point. Injury is always a possibility.
right, so
Suspensions possibly as well.
exactly,
Also,
and this would put a huge dent in those aspirations.
true,
Outside of
true.
if we have somebody who was potentially not in the running for the Ballon d'Or, having a stellar tournament and winning said tournament, then either way we would be seeing probably Vinicius and Jude still lifting that Ballon d'Or.
You definitely raise a very good point. Oftentimes overlooked, but that injury bug is definitely something that could throw a spanner in the works. But all things being equal, injury aside, if there are no injuries and these teams do make a deep run, Brazil potentially winning the Copa America, England potentially winning the Euros. For me though, I personally don't see England winning it. They have never won it before. And no matter the quality of the teams they have had in the past, and even up to present time, last year we saw where they made it to the final, but faltered at the final hurdle to Italy. Somehow, some way, this England team just find a way to sabotage themselves, it would appear. And I
No,
see no different happening this season, Christoph. I
I
don't see
think it
England
might
winning
be.
it.
I think it might be Gareth Southgate. I think he's at his level. I think we've seen the best of what Gareth Southgate has to offer. I don't think there is anything else to come from him at the moment.
Definitely. Sometimes you need a different voice in that locker room, a manager with different tactics who can utilize the potential attacking talent at his disposal. And that is one of the things we can definitely say that Gareth Southgate had failed to maximize. He have often taken a somewhat cagey approach, a somewhat conservative approach when you have so many attacking talent at your disposal. And some may point to that as being one of the reasons that England haven't really progressed to either a World Cup or a Euros, and especially a Euros. never to have one in their entire history. Quite a shocking statistic there when you look at the likes of a Greece who have come and gotten their hands on a Euro even before the great England. So I would not count on it, but stranger things have happened. And, with the sort of form that Bellingham is in, he picked up the Young Player of the Year award in the Champions League. And Vinicius also picked up the Player of the Year award in that competition as well. So these two players are really going neck and neck, Christoph, with the awards. And, definitely, as I said, I believe they are the two front runners as it relates to the Ballon d'Or. And that is the big trophy that any player would want to take home as that individual award, something definitely add to their CV and, one that will set them apart from other players in the world of football. But lots of football to come, Christoph, lots of football to come. The Champions League was the crown jewel of club football. And we saw where Real Madrid came away victorious. All attention now will turn towards the international competitions. Squads are now being finalized and players are now headed off to their respective international teams to get their preparations in order for both the Copa America as well as the Euros. And I am definitely looking forward to that. Competition kicks off, I believe, June 10th, Christoph, if memory serves me right, in the Copa America. And of course, Jamaica is in that competition as well. And, we are definitely looking for
Unimportant.
some big things coming from the Jamaica team, Christoph. This could definitely kickstart their World Cup qualifying campaign as well. So that is something to also look forward to. However, of course, we know the big baller, Leon Bailey, has made himself unavailable for team selection. And he should be a big loss for this team, but I believe sufficient quality may be there to bring this Jamaica team to higher heights. But it is what it is, viewers and subscribers. We're definitely looking for some quality football coming up in the summer. And we will see what the Euros and the Copa America has in store for us. But Christoph, any final thoughts as it relates to this Champions League final? And what are you looking forward to coming up in the world of football as we know it?
Um, I don't really have any more thoughts on the Champions League final. Real Madrid won as I expected. I do look forward to watching the Euros and some of the games from the Copa America. I think we can expect some quality there and some potential transfer scouting to be going on at the Euros and at the Copa. I do look forward to the transfer market to see who is coming into teams, who is leaving, and so on, to see how squad teams strengthen their squads for the coming season.
Yeah, so definitely we have to keep one eye on these competitions and also one eye on the coming ins and going outs as it relates to the transfer market. Club teams are still fine-tuning their talent pool and definitely making preparations for the start of the next season coming up. So that is something to always keep our ears close to the ground on. And we see a number of teams already making some moves and we will just have to lock into those and bring those to your
I mean,
attention, viewers and subscribers, as they come along.
we've seen where Real Madrid have announced the signing of Kylian Mbappe, so
Yeah, that's definitely a big, big signing right there, Christoph, and that
definitely
should
a
put them
massive
over the
signing.
edge.
Um, I've seen headlines where people are saying the second coming of Cristiano Ronaldo. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Definitely time will tell, but it will be interesting to see how Ancelotti lines up this team come next season. We do know that Mbappe likes to play from the wings, Christoph. Will we see that continue or will we see a transition to a more number nine type role?
I mean, you already have Vinicius Jr. on the wings, and you can't really be paying a player probably £2 million a month to have them on the bench or
No, I
rotating. So
mean that's beyond question. You
and
Ancelotti will definitely have to find a system that fit all these quality players
I
in
think
that team. Rodrigo may be the casualty, possibly.
Possibly, but I think maybe we'll see a transition back to a 4-3-3 system or a 4-2-3-1. Or potentially we'll see Mbappe lining up alongside maybe Vinicius up front and where Vinicius probably drifts so wide and Mbappe stays more central.
Definitely some interesting tactics that Ancelotti will have up his sleeve, not only in terms of grinding out results, but also keeping the players happy. But he's a top manager, and I'm sure he will come up with some solutions there. But a top signing, big signing there, Christoph. I mean, at that signing alone puts Real Madrid at favorites to repeat in the Champions League and also to repeat as La Liga winners as well. I mean, their rival down there in Spain is Barcelona, and Barcelona seem to be in shambles currently. New coach, yes, but lots to do, lots of players to move, lots of finances to balance. And each transfer seem to squeeze a little more quality out of that club. Pretty much they have leveraged their future in terms of escaping bankruptcy. So there's very little movement that can be made without first selling players, so to speak. So tough to see Barcelona really bouncing back and creating any sort of major challenge for this Real Madrid team, especially with the signing of Mbappe. And of course, Cruz is retired as well. So Real Madrid should be looking to bring in another quality midfielder as well, Christoph. Is there any noise in terms of who they may be moving for in the middle of the park?
Can't say that I've seen any rumors or anything like that. You know, as long as they stay away from Martin Odegaard, I'm fine. Maybe
Well,
they'll
well,
look
well.
towards Kevin De Bruyne.
Well, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have indeed happened. But, Odegaard might have played his last game for Real Madrid, but we know these days money talk, Christoph, money talks, and every player has their price, so to speak. But I don't see Odegaard going back. I think he has found a home at Arsenal, and he has been playing his best football for Arsenal in his career. He wasn't really getting the opportunities at Real Madrid, but he carved out a niche for himself over there at the Emirates. And I think he's content to continue to lead this Arsenal team forward. But can Arsenal win the title next season, Christoph? That is the question. They came close the last 2 years. Will the third year be the charm?
I'm hard to tell. I'm not a
Or
fortune teller.
what does
Can't say.
Arsenal need to do at this point in time to guarantee that they win the title come next year, May?
Um,
Who does Arsenal need to sign if they need to sign anyone at all?
I don't have any names that Arsenal should definitely sign at the
What
moment,
about
but
Ivan Toney as a big number nine?
I don't have any names at the moment. But I will say Arsenal do need up front a proven goal
Like
scorer,
Ivan Toney,
who will take chances when presented. Because
like
last season
like Tony.
Arsenal did generate a number of chances that went begging in a couple of games that could have turned the tide in the title race, against Aston Villa, Fulham, and Newcastle.
So a
Also,
Tony then, Christoph.
uh,
All of what you're saying seem to fit Ivan Toney
uh,
perfectly. A
I
quality striker who can take chances, a focal point for the attack,
I
a
don't think
Englishman at that.
I don't think Ivan Toney is the right fit for Arsenal.
Mm.
I don't think the price is right. Right? I don't think Ivan Toney is worth a quality striker, yes, but I don't believe Ivan Toney is worth 100 million.
So
First
it's
of
a
all,
case of price then. So in other words, if you can get him at a cut market price, he would be a good fit. So it's not necessarily that he's a
not
bad fit, it's
no,
just the price.
not necessarily. There are disciplinary issues with
No, I
Ivan
mean,
Toney.
we haven't heard of anything redisciplined from Tony
Yeah,
apart from the gambling
we
issues.
we don't know what goes behind
Mm.
closed doors. If the club doesn't announce it, we don't know. All right, so
Well, that is true.
I wouldn't
But I
chance
mean,
it.
we don't know, so you can't really put that out there that Tony has disciplinary issues because we just don't know.
Hey,
So
if let me tell you,
that might
if
be
Ivan Toney
jumping the
is
gun.
if Ivan Toney was in the bracket of phenomenal players, then I would say definitely
So
take
who
the
is in
risk.
that bracket? Who is in the bracket of phenomenal players?
Currently, probably I would say Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland.
Well, I mean, that list is very small, and those players are obviously unavailable for
Indeed,
Arsenal. I
those
mean,
players are unavailable, but um, I would not risk players with a history of
or
disciplinary
will
issues.
you guys be looking to go after the likes of, let's say, Ollie Watkins, for example? Or is an Ollie
Mhm.
Watkins a better fit than a Ivan Toney at
Probably,
Arsenal?
I think so.
Mm,
But
okay,
again,
I see.
I don't know what Arsenal's transfer plans are, but what I know is Arsenal need a proven goal scorer, somebody who can be relied on. Arsenal
Right.
needs to find rotation options for key players. Somebody who could potentially swap into a slot for a Saka and provide similar, same quality, or provide a different option in a game. They
Mm.
do need to get perhaps another number eight. I've seen rumors around Bruno Gamares from Newcastle, but I don't know. Um, Potentially, I don't.
Isak, maybe a Isak type player as well, who could play up front as a nine as well as alleviate some of the pressure off Saka on the flanks.
I did see
Arteta
those.
seem to like to sign players who have multiple playing roles, it would appear. So Isak might be one of those players who can play through the middle as a nine, who is a quality, proven goal scorer, having been playing his trade for Newcastle and one of the top scorers this season. And also he can also play on the flank also. So Isak may very well be the perfect fit if the price is right and if Arsenal will come up with the 100+ million, which I am sure Newcastle will demand for the likes of Isak, if he was to be sold, that is.
Mhm.
I mean,
Uh,
it's the market, Christoph. You can't get away from the numbers. Oftentimes, the player isn't worth the money, but it's just what the market dictates, in all honesty,
it's
you
not
know,
what the market dictates; it's what the club dictates.
or what the club is willing to pay for that quality. So,
Exactly. Um,
it
I,
is what it
I,
is.
I, I mean, all right. $100 million investment is probably, regularly we're seeing players going for 100 million and excess of that. 100 million,
Yeah, I mean, 100 million is
regardless,
right now the new marker, in all honesty.
right? But 100 million, even for a big club like Arsenal, a Real Madrid, a Chelsea who spends a lot, Man City who spends a lot, is still a lot of money to spend on a single signing.
Well, for sure. I mean, Arsenal did pay that for Rice, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Oh no,
Arsenal do.
it's not beyond the realm of possibility, but it hinders, potential signings in the remainder of the season if you are unable to balance the books by, offloading some players for good money, reasonable fees.
Well, definitely Arsenal have quite an abundance of that. I'm sure you'll be looking for the departure of the likes of a Nketiah, a Rowe, Smith Rowe, a Nelson, etc. Those fringe players who obviously are not good enough and who obviously doesn't have the trust of the manager at the tyrannies, so to speak, of this world. So at least 4 or 5 players Arsenal should be able to unload, possibly getting 50 million for those five combined at very minimum. I mean, each of those
You see,
players must
that
be
is
worth at least 10 million.
no, that is where I think we are at a disagreement. I think the likes of Nketiah and Smith Rowe should be going for 50 million each. These are English players. These are English players,
But
right?
they are not quality players, Christoph. I mean, you need to be
Irrelevant.
English and you need to have quality, such as a Rice, for
No,
example.
no,
I
no,
can
no,
see
no.
why Rice went for
All right.
100 or a
But
Grealish. But
right,
I
but
mean, the
all
likes
right.
of a Smith Rowe can't
If
be placed in the same
if
bracket
we're
as a
say, if
Grealish as a Rice.
no, definitely not. But
Nketiah, I mean, come on.
if we're saying 100 million is the new marker, right, for
Yeah, for
quality
sure.
players, then 50 million should be able to go. Any Ketia
No,
should be
no,
able to go
no
for 50
sensible
mil.
club is gonna pay 50 million for
Uh,
Nketiah, Christopher, Rose,
I,
Smith Rowe, or Nelson. Come on, let's be
then
realistic.
wait till their contracts run down. Then
No, exactly, and then you lose them for zero. You lose them on the
I
free.
listen. I
I
would
I rather take 10 million than lose them for free,
no
since
no.
they're not playing an integral role in the
I,
team anyway.
these players are worth more than 10 million pounds.
No, I'm just saying that as a minimum marker. I'm just using 10 million as the minimum. So I'm saying at least 50 million could be raised from the sale of those five players. If you look at the average, that's 10 million per player. I'm just using that as a baseline marker
All
to
right,
say
let me
five
ask you,
players, 50 million at least.
how much should somebody like Aaron Ramsdale be sold for?
Ramsdale. Ramsdale maybe in the 20 to 30 million dollar bracket, in my opinion. If depending on how the player himself is feeling, is he? The thing is, Ramsdale is not happy to be at Arsenal. I would think at this point in time, he is not willing to be a backup. So the market knows this, and to me, of such, the price is gonna be lower because why have an unhappy player going into the season? He's gonna create disruption in your squad. So anywhere between 20 to 30 million should be a good price tag for the likes of a Ramsdale, in my opinion. And again, depending on who you're selling to, because you can't be asking a price that you know a club cannot uh, a club cannot afford. So that also plays a role. I mean that there goes your difference between a club like Liverpool going for a player versus a club like West Ham. Obviously, Liverpool may have greater financial resources when compared to a West Ham. So you as a selling club will also use this as a bargaining chip as well. If you were selling the same player to West Ham, you may charge 15, but you're selling the player to Liverpool, you may throw another 10 million on that and charge 25. So look at the likes of a Kudos, for example. Kudos would have gone for much more money if he was going to a bigger club than a West Ham. But it's the market, and we'll definitely have to keep a close eye on that. Oftentimes players are not sold for the price of just their playing. Sometimes it's also commercial as well, Christoph. Instagram followers who can sell some shirts. So sometimes it's a commercial move as well as a football in one also. Advertisement, sponsorship, that sort of thing. Prestige or bring a higher profile to your club depending on the player. So other factors are at play, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But I'll be keeping a close eye on the transfer window for sure. And going forward, we're definitely going to be looking at previewing some of these big teams that should be playing over there in the Euros, and also keeping one eye also on the Copa America as well. But viewers and subscribers, there you have it. Thanks again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Thanks again, Christoph, for coming on board and really sharing your views and your opinions. Of course, viewers and subscribers, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.